Hello everybody, welcome back. I forgot to zoom in, did I? So, we got March the 18th, 2011, day 7 of Fukushima press conferences. The press briefings are based on the situation at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, and it's a continuation, allegedly from the day before, which theoretically means it was shot the day before. I don't know. And it's going to cover topics. I've just chopped out a little piece to kind of, you can see what's going on in the video. That's not it.
Hi, Hidehiko, The New York Times. Some experts in the U.S. Have said that based on information provided to them by Japanese officials, that there is likely a crack or maybe a hole in the spent fuel pool at reactor number 4 and perhaps other spent fuel pools. What is the likelihood of this, and how would this affect your recovery effort? And related to this, there has been some criticism, again, among U.S. experts that Tokyo Electric perhaps diverted by, perhaps because they focused so much on the reactors themselves initially, that they failed to see the dangers of the fuel, dangers posed by the fuel stored in the spent fuel pools. What would be your response to that? Thank you.
So cracks in the fuel pools at Fukushima. On day 7, those questions were brought up, but these pictures were released. This is what it would have looked like on that same day. And so, because that's a major media, they knew better, right? They were directing the cover story for the industry. And then back home, you had Jasko finally show up at the NR meeting, right? And then he got grilled on a major scale.
How close were our warships when they turned them around?
I apologize for that. Let me turn it down a little notch.
How close were our warships when they turned them around?
My understanding was that there were some naval vessels that were approximately 100 miles off the coast of Japan. They received some low-level indications of radiation that was not unexpected and was consistent with the kind of process that was going on at the reactor to keep it cool. Now those
to keep it cool.
Ships were assisting a search and rescue operation that involved helicopters going back and forth to areas closer into to Japan. So, that the situation there, I think, was something was just a prudent response to that. But yeah, again, there was no direct radiological harm to the radiation amounts we were seeing.
There was a reason
to the 5,000
that they turned around.
To the 5,000 people on the ship, right? Is what he's mitigating any kind of controversy, right? Later down the road.
It wasn't the helicopters could fly that distance easily. 100 miles is what.
I believe that, well, the indications that we had when they picked up radiation was that it was at about 100 miles. But again, I don't want to speak for the
but I
Department
think it was
of Defense
about 60.
Say it was 60 miles. It meant, and they couldn't fly it because there was radiation, is what they were talking about, right? And what that meant, of course, was that it was a nuclear wasteland for a very long distance immediately. But I may play this later. We're going to kick off with nuclear Belgium. And then I'll be right back after this anti-nuclear song. And I'll put a link in the description in a little bit. I'll be right back.
100 hands, reverse the law. Phase one set, now put on pause. They claimed the grid could not endure and fed the myth of power pure. The fuel was buried, not the plan. It only waits for votes to stand. From all they stacked the vessels deep. T-hands ran long though did not sleep. No chant was sung, no grave was raised. Just softer lights in western bays. A farmer passed through fields unclaimed. No one asked what was a name. Nuclear Belgium, hear the ground. Not a soul to turn it down. Nuclear Belgium, soul that's clean. Ballots cast, the elite's decree. Nuclear Belgium, built to last. But the river learns too fast. They wrote it down in 23, then turned the page before the plea. The pause they pitched became a door, a lease renewed without a floor. The mask was spun in policy, but no one asked the river's fee. Nuclear Belgium, hear the ground. Not a soul to turn it down. Nuclear Belgium, soul that's clean. Ballots cast, the elite's decree. Nuclear Belgium, built to last. But the river learns too fast. Now tell the child in Malta today what steams beneath the concrete base. Dessel's drums into me lie, and NATO carries what we weigh. The wind from Flanders bends its back. The scaffold stands, but none look back. Nuclear Belgium, hear the ground. Not a soul to turn it down. Nuclear Belgium, soul that's clean. Ballots casted, elite's decree. Nuclear Belgium, built to last. But the river learns too fast.
Music lights up 19% of your brain that you don't use otherwise. Music lights up 19% of your brain that you actually don't use under any other conditions, apparently, according to the... I wonder if it's true for the whales. So this is some of this year's picks. I've never seen nothing like it. We've seen bad. It's getting bad every year with the emaciated die-offs, animals dying of starvation. But now we're seeing just horrific, unbelievable images. The bride's whale over there, the blue whale, should be 380,000 pounds. It's 100 feet long, so it might weigh 40,000 pounds of skin and bones. There's no muscle, there's no fat, there's no blubber. This picture was 4 or 5 days ago of a bride's whale. There's another bride's whale in India a few months, I guess 2 months ago or something. So,
good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Now he is not a nuclear expert. He became a nuclear expert a few days before this, he got that titled. But that wasn't his title before. He had nothing to do with nuclear before. So that way he doesn't make a Freudian slip. See, they do that. The industry is very, very keen.
Today I would like to report.
And before we move on, let's look at the poll here tonight. We got 2 people on our show, do we? My show is that bad. Last night I had 14 thumbs up at the end of the show. I think I got like 17 now. I've never seen it that bad before. Clearly they don't want anybody to look at my video. Should it be a crime? Well, they won't have to worry about it much longer, I don't think. It's difficult to keep this operation survive as long as we did. It's just the will of people, I guess, more so, right? But the reality is starting to push back. Should it be a crime to injure, poison, and kill people with man-made radiation? And you got to take into consideration it's not illegal to poison you with radiation. But the radiation is not picky, so it poisons all the species. That's why we're seeing the emaciated and the die off of all the species is radioactive fallout. Here we go. So the main guy who's speaking, the lady alongside of him won't be visible in the video today like she has been in other of these. It doesn't focus on only 3 people, and she does the translating. If we'll work it out.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to report a few things first, very briefly. First of all, regarding Japan's new restoration regarding International Nuclear Event Scale, INES.
Yeah, which is United Nations, shouldn't exist, or a military-industrial complex. And they've taken over your whole life now. And people just assume that they're legit, but they're not a regulatory agency at all.
As you know, this is the voluntary restoration system for the severeness of the accident in nuclear field. Actually, Japanese government registered to IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency.
They're not a regulatory agency. They don't have any authority. Just let me do this so I can always find my way back. The industry can't get away with it. The only reason they're getting away with it is because people are silent and lets them get away with it. Because it's such a difficult subject for people, right? My apologies. Sometimes you got to reinforce stuff, even though it goes smoother if it doesn't. But the idea of what we're doing is we catch them lying, we have to challenge the lie to move on to the next lie, because the whole show is about how many lies they can tell in a short period, right? My apologies. I should have been on top of that one. There was a lot of chopping necessary after the first 20 minutes. And here we go. And a clerk, I got quite a lot of this stuff, but Anna Clark with International Atomic Energy Agency, United Nations in 2023. You'll see this in most of the International Atomic Energy Agency reports in the media, somewhere, usually at the bottom of the story. The International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator. It's not in a position to judge or approve Japan's soil, Japan's water, Japan's fuel, Japan's meltdown, Japan's decommissioning, Japan's anything. They're not a regulatory agency. And they always want to put that disclaimer there to protect themselves from, even though they basically gave themselves immunity in 195 countries, right?
That Japan would like to increase the level of highness of this Fukushima #1 site.
So they want to increase the level classification. Like Chernobyl was considered a 7. It was a small reactor. It was a new reactor. It was a graphite reactor. It didn't have decades of reactor cores stored at the top of the buildings. And so when you look at this depiction I put together 11 years ago, 12 years ago, this is some of the media pretending they're 150 feet above reactor 4 in 2013. This picture is 2012. The fuel pool are located at the top of the buildings. There's around 9 reactor cores. Each reactor core is 100 Chernobyls, so 900 Chernobyls at the top of each of the 4 buildings. So 3,600 Chernobyls worth of, because Japan was pure uranium, plutonium. Chernobyl was a graphite. Japan's were 30-year-old reactors with decades of reactor cores at the top of the buildings. Chernobyl was a new reactor. It was a small reactor. It didn't have fuel pools in the buildings. So the difference is, and so it's still not on the same level as Chernobyl on the 18th, but on the 18th, you had 4, if not the common spent fuel pool and reactor 6, have lost their inventories, right? It's easy to quantify 4 of the reactors.
From level 4 to level 5. Previously, the Japanese government registered as level 4 based on the reason that the fuel was somehow damaged. But we...
Somehow damaged. That's so Stephen, man. Wow. When you look at this original picture, and that, I was probably a month later or something, but you don't see 7,000 people, do you? Everything's not cleaned up and sorted out. If there's 7,000 people there, then, because that's what they kept telling people, then people would assume there's a lot of stuff going on, right? No. They only told them, the same as these people said there at the top of the building, the media told them there was 7,000. Neither of those stories were true. The reactor core and the fuel pools were at the top of the building.
From level 4 to level 5. Previously, the Japanese government...
So they raised it from a level 4 to a level 5, which is still 2 below Chernobyl.
Collected data, such as monitoring of radio activity, and
well, you couldn't monitor it within 100 kilometers. The Geiger counters would have broken. because there was so much releases, right? Like you're talking about multiple reactors have lost around, these two alone, as you're talking about 18 reactor cores. That's being conservative, by the way.
Did detailed analysis, and we found that more than 3%
They should be prosecuted.
Nuclear fuel of
I screwed that up by over-talking. I don't normally do it.
did detailed analysis, and we found that more than 3% of nuclear fuel of
3%. Let's have a look at this building again. Yeah, there you go. You're talking around £6 million per building. And the common span fuel pool was behind reactor 4. The story's insane, right? You got 4 buildings, so that's one direction. If you go to the other side from reactor 1 and look, you had 4 reactors and 8 fuel pools in a row. This is unheard of. It's an extinction event.
Those plants, which are listed in the document.
It's an extinction event.
Have been damaged, severely damaged, and the
Number 4.
radioactive.
He's not a nuclear expert. He got that title a couple of days before this, and he actually tells you on the third audit video back from this one, counting this one.
Radioactive materials have been thrown out.
Thrown out. Let's look at what that actually looks like. The explosions. He was talking about. Well, this was reactor 3. This was 4 days before they done that press conference, so-called, which is not a press conference, it's a cover story. That's the actual reactor core and the fuel pools falling back to Earth of the plutonium mixed oxide reactor number 3. And this is the number 1 reactor. It's lost around 8 or 9 reactor cores in that explosion, same as number 3 reactor, right? That's 8 or 9 reactor cores not being, I don't know if the word thrown is appropriate, it's being ejected. The reactor core and the fuel pools, decades of reactor cores ejected right out of the building.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to report...
Oh, that's him on that other video I was alluding to. Let's get back down here.
From the site to the outside. And therefore, we increase the level of the accident regarding INES. And as you know, this is the temporary evaluation of the severeness of
temporary evaluation of the. So eventually they raised it to a level 7, right? But that was like a month and a half later.
Therefore, we will continuously review the severeness of accident, and we will review and according to the development of the accident. That's the first point. And the second point, yesterday and today, yesterday and today, our police and defense, self-defense force, and Tokyo Metropolitan Fire Department's hyper rescue group. Those entities went.
Well, they don't know what they're fighting. They've never fought a nuclear meltdown. They've never even been to a nuclear plant before, unless it was these fake drills. They had no context, no equipment. They didn't have any. They were getting gamma shine, like cesium-137, just an atom, will pulse 600 feet every second. Imagine ejecting the reactor cores right out of the buildings. Is going to imply, right? And so going there to fight a fire, you're not fighting a fire. You're talking about X-rays and neutron bombardment and alpha shine and gamma shine. You're talking about a hostile environment that melts your organs, yet you can't see the damage till you drop dead, right?
To the Fukushima #1 site and through pressurized water to Fukushima Unit 3. Fukushima.
So you couldn't connect pressurized water to the reactors, and particularly reactor 3, which was hideous. So what he was alluding to there was they were connecting pressure, which is over 1,000 pounds per square inch. And there's nobody going to be stood up there even today that's not going to get significantly damaged. But back then, there's zero possibilities. You won't make it to the building without dying immediately. Your organs will melt. And when I say melt, I'm talking less than, you'll drop dead in a few minutes, but you'll liquefy. You'll liquefy inside your body. And Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the victims were found in a squat down position where their organs had melted. They had dropped their underpants and squat down because they felt like they had diarrhea. This was their organs they had excreted.
#1 site, Unit 3. And it is too early to evaluate the result, but...
No, well, it's simply not true. Now, it's not hard to comprehend this as a cover story, because we have the luxury of hindsight. But the media that are coming up later in the next show from the same video are seeing this picture. This was taken on the 15th and knew there was, because they have experts in their own countries, right? This was the international media.
We think that the water was duly delivered to the inside of the Unit 3, and we will.
It's not true, of course.
We hope that that will make a good result regarding the lowering temperature of the spent fuel in Unit 3.
So he's perfect because he doesn't know nothing about nuclear, so he's not going to accidentally say something that an average person will be able to, or who's in the industry will be able to interpret. So these people in the audience, like writers, Associated Press, New York Times, let's keep her going.
And based on the water and that the spent fuel of Unit 3 will be duly covered by the water thrown by those three groups.
Will be covered by the water by the local fire department. They're going to go to a nuclear meltdown, and they're better prepared than all the scientists are. Is that what he's saying? How the hell did we ever give up? Like, there's no way to connect power, or there's no way to put water into a building that doesn't exist. I just got to reinforce that, unfortunately, because the law is so great that if I don't bring some extra to the conversation to help people who are not familiar and who are familiar, to reinforce. Yeah, here we go. Here's some of these guys. So this is like the original picture, so you can see it again over there. These were 19-story buildings, 65 meters, 190 feet tall buildings, but they also extended way underground too. The fuel pools are the two red depictions at the top, and this is the reactor core. The fuel has to be underwater, so it has to. This is at the top of the building, in order to transfer it to the fuel pools. Everything, if it comes out of the water, it catches fire immediately and burns at enormous temperatures. And you can see reactor 3, right? That's what it looked like when they were doing this press conference.
And some important but very specific development reports from yesterday, and that those were I have two. The first one is we found water in spent fuel pool of Unit 4. Yesterday I told that.
So saying you just said they found water in the spent fuel pool of reactor 4. You can't get near reactor 4 on that day, or you can't go in the building. This reactor 4 over there. Of course, I'll just reinforce you certain. Here's the media also pretending they're at reactor 4 at the top of the building to your left. Just let me bring up a couple more extra pictures we can use instead of me always having that. Excuse me. There we go. The ludicrous of what they'd done and got away with blows my mind on top of that. There you go. And I got a picture of all 4 sides, because that's going to come up a number of times. And I just want to be a bit better prepared for it. The whole story's just, it's crazy, right? Put that over here. All right, so here's all 4 sides coming up of reactor 4 on that day. And so you don't need to be an architect or an engineer or a nuclear scientist to appreciate.
There were 2 opinions that there is a water, and on the other hand, the other opinion says that the pool is empty. But we found from the video.
And other people says the pool is empty. So that was really interesting that he even remotely alluded to that, right? Play that part again.
There were 2 opinions that there is a water, and on the other hand, the other opinion says that the pool is empty. But we found from the video.
We found from the video. So think about what we're actually talking about as reactor 4. Reactor 4, reactor 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 36 reactor cores have melted down. So what's interesting is I showed you the video of reactor 1, right? And here's reactor 1 exploding. So you can see the other buildings. You can see reactor 4. That's reactor 4 right here. This is reactor 3 exploding. It's right alongside of reactor 4. You can see reactor 4 right there. But we don't have a video of reactor 4 exploding. We know it exploded for sure. And so this is what it looked like before they put a cover on it and hid it away from you. I should have that right there. Okay, well, the next best thing, they were putting the cover on it with this picture here. So that's the same building as that one up there or that one right here. So they put this contraption over it, doesn't physically touch it, and then told you it looks like that on the inside. Now both of those pictures are from TEPCO's website on top of that. But they don't show you that is what it started out as, because then the story doesn't work no more.
Captured from the seaside, from the helicopter, we found that there is water in the spent fuel pool of Unit 4.
And this raises another interesting point, actually, that if you've never been here, you'll never know what I'm going to show you. You've never seen it anywhere else. Gotta put that up here. So it's hard to keep track of everything, unfortunately. And it's just as well to do the show live as it to do the pre-show, because it's so difficult and trying to stay focused. And with these live shows, you do have the option of calling in, and maybe Dana will post a number there for us when he gets a chance in the comments section. And so right across the street, so let me do it this way. The story's crazy anyway, no matter how you look at the story. But there was pictures from a drone that were released. And in 2011, that didn't quite make any sense to people. I'll just give you a couple of those pictures here. So he was talking about drones from a helicopter that were released. These were pictures from a drone that weren't released for 10 years, but were taken right away. That's the common spent fuel pool right there. That's right across the street from reactor 4, but you can't tell it because it's pixelated. And then common spent fuel pool is where they put the reactor cores, the oldest reactor cores from all 6 reactors are stored up there, but not all of them. The top of the buildings are stuffed full of reactor cores. That's reactor 4 right there, completely pixelated out. But they're telling you that they don't show you the evidence, they tell you they have the evidence. I show you the evidence. So we're not doing this because it's easy. On top of that, we're doing it because if the average person has no hope of figuring it out on their own. No matter how educated they are, they're going to there's a lot of traps, bananas, potato chips, and walking sunshine. On top of that, traps that people will get lulled into through people like Arnie Gunnarsson and Helen Collicott and Christopher Busby and people like that. So the common spent fuel pool probably had 11 million pounds. Why is that pixelated? And behind it, in the top up there, you see the containers. That's from the tsunami. So it's on the same street as Reactor 4, Reactor 3, and Reactor 2. They go this way, Reactor 2, and then Reactor 1 are right there. They're all lined up alongside of each other. But this is Reactor 6. This is a little ways away. And why is the turbine building in between it, the entire reactor, the roof, the sides, and the very corner is the stack for the vent for the fuel pool, because the fuel pools are still splitting atoms directly into the environment. And so these pictures most likely were taken daylight the first day. Right, you can see there's no fire trucks, no road. There's no activity, there's no people. This could be the same helicopters that he's alluding to.
Therefore, we concentrated our effort to introduce water to the Unit 3,
And he's talking about the fuel.
as I said earlier.
I got some other pictures of Unit 3 that are helpful, I hope. So that's Unit 3, and this is a depiction of what it's... all these reactors were identical, just in case...
And they have the number 1 site of Fukushima,
which is Daiichi. Because there's a dying
nuclear power has a common pool of spent fuel.
Common spent fuel pool. That's what he's talking about. Now, I just showed you those pixelated pictures. That's the common spent fuel pool right there. It's completely pixelated out. He's going to tell you a different version, of course.
And we found that the common spent fuel, common pool of spent fuel is has been maintained as a inappropriate way. So, and there is.
Wow, that's crazy talks. The common spent fuel pool has been. Let's play that again.
And we found that the common spent fuel, common pool of spent fuel, is has been maintained as a inappropriate way.
In an appropriate way. Well, they had windows down low. They're not as high as the reactor buildings on top of that. It's an actual really important clip. Because you're talking about 11 million pounds. So the Nagasaki bomb was, you get different versions. Say it was 30 pounds. There's a big difference. And because a single gram of this stuff releases so much poison, excuse me. I'm just going to put my telephone number up in case the nuclear industry wants to challenge my evidence. Of course, that'll never happen, right? 709, we're in Canada. 740-4076. Should it be a crime to injure, poison people with man-made radiation, considering that it's currently not? And it's very unpopular when I talk about that, so I get no views. Nobody wants to come to my show that I've been doing for over a decade. The hell with you, Dana.
So, and there is plenty of water, which is enough to cover the spent fuel rods in the pool, common pool, not the individual pool for the individual unit.
And so what did he say at the end of that? Because it was over talking, which is...
So, and there is plenty of water, which is enough to cover the spent fuel rods in the pool, common pool, not the individual pool for the individual unit.
So it's a different pool than the reactor pools, I think is what he's, the little demonic, sadistic creature is trying to say. The common spent fuel pool is right across the street from reactor 4. They're pixelated out, and these pictures were released in 2021. I'm the only person I know that has ever covered them, actually try to walk people through it. You can watch that video. It's 736 mystery pictures. We do know they had windows down low. The common spent fuel pool is not as big as the reactors. It's on the same street. It has tsunami debris stacked up behind it, which meant the tsunami ran right through it. It had no power, so it has to circulate water in the reactors, buildings, fuel pools, for instance. So the common spent fuel pool holds a lot more fuel. So if it doesn't circulate water, the fuel denigrates right away. You lose their integrity and starts releasing copious amounts of fuel. It breaks down and is able to be released as a gas. And then, because the water has to circulate in the fuel pool, whether it's a common spent fuel pool or the reactor's fuel pool, the water has to circulate. And so what he's telling you clearly is a lie. And because the common spent fuel pool is across the street from reactor 4, you have 4 meltdowns in a row. There's no way to get in proximity to anything, period.
Thing I would like to tell you is in parallel with those efforts to introduce water to the plant, especially spent fuel pool, TEPCO has been making maximum effort to.
TEPCO is not a decommission authority. They don't know anything about building a reactor, let alone. They don't do a decommissioning of nuclear plants as a corporation or anything like that. They don't have the expertise, they don't have the manpower, they don't have the staff that are specialized or even participated in that industry, right? There's 1,000 different nuclear industries.
Reconstruct the power line, outside power line, from Tohoku Electric's transmission line to the Fukushima #1 plant site.
This is 7 days later. He's suggesting that they're reconnecting, which is absurd. First off, the reactors don't get power for a few hours. They start to melt down. 7 days later is way past. Now, they've already blew up and caught fire and blew up and caught fire, not necessarily in that order.
And
all of them melted down, in other words. 36 reactor cores.
Already brought lines, healthy lines from Tohoku.
They already brought healthy lines from Tohoku Electric Power Company. Nuclear power plants are dependent on external power.
Electric transmission line to the site, and their TEPCO's priority is to introduce power line, especially to number 2 plant, Unit 2 plant, because Unit 2 has still good shape.
I think he's talking about. Let me go.
Of
the unit 2 is completely. It liquefied. That reactor did. It came out shortly after. So what he's trying to, and he done this a lot originally, where he got you to focus on. It directed people to focus on reactor 2, which is this one right here, which is right between reactor 1 and reactor 3. I showed you those explosions where they lost their fuel pools. Remember 19, just that building was around 9 reactor cores. That building was 9 reactor cores. So they sprayed that whole area with just inconceivable catastrophic amounts of fuel. We know that it was around a million sieverts estimated outside of reactor 1, which is right alongside reactor 2. And they're not that far apart. Your organs will melt in that environment. So he's going to suggest we'll just play the video, but.
The shape of building so it's not easy to introduce water from outside. So especially number 2, Unit 2 needs recovery of electricity to.
Unit 2 needs recovery of electricity to cool the spent fuel pool. And you can tell he has a perfect head of hair. He's not a nuclear expert. He's reading off. It's just surreal that he said that, by the way. You can't go to number 2, of course, we know liquefied now, because we have the luxury of hindsight. But we don't need the luxury of hindsight back then. We just need to be rational. And to suggest that reactor 2 had any kind of these are the most difficult shows I noticed to do on top of that. It was to distract you from stuff like this. There you go. I believe the country will be evacuated if the power plant fuel pool collapses. Should be hundreds of thousands of people working furiously every day. I believe the country would be evacuated if their power plant breaks down. Well, you got that on your planet for? It's a pretty powerful statement. I believe the country will be evacuated if the single reactor fuel pool breaks down. What does that tell you about this industry? Does that concern you? By the way, I'd be worried more about reactor 3 fuel pool, because clearly that was gone. Don't tell TEPCO. It's impossible to keep up with every law. What we're trying to do is challenge every law, and it's insane. It's insane to do it, but unfortunately.
So, and within 2 days, by 19th, not 2 days, but by 19th.
Which is the next day from this day. This is on the 18th.
By tomorrow, they will. They hope that TEPCO hopes that they can finalize the power delivery from to those two plants, now Unit 1 and Unit 2.
So he's talking about the Daiichi plant, which is number 2. Fukushima Daiichi is the number 2 Fukushima plant. There's 2 identical reactors sites right there. It's the Daiichi and the Daiichi. The Daiichi is 10 kilometers south of the Daiichi, which is towards Tokyo.
And regarding Unit 3 and Unit 4,
I'll show you pictures now. There's reactor 3 and reactor 4.
TEPCO already brought a line, healthy line from Tohoku Electric Power's transmission line to the site, and they are aiming at finalizing the power line from to Unit 3 and 4 by March 20th.
2 days after this. I think he's talking about the Daiichi plant. Just let me listen to it one more time.
TEPCO already brought a line, healthy line from Tohoku Electric Power's transmission line to the site, and they are aiming at finalizing the power line from to Unit 3 and 4 by March 20th.
He's going to be talking about the Daiichi plant.
Regarding 5th and 6th unit, as I said yesterday, there is a surviving diesel
generator, reactor 5 and 6
powered diesel generator.
So this was the allegation that the diesel generator, like these, the tsunami ran through there. We know number 6, the basement was full of water, minimum, right? Like we can, I'll bring up one of those headlines so you can appreciate. Listen, I don't lie about this stuff, okay? I don't misrepresent it. I'm switched on. I'm aware. I'm very cautious. There's no need to misrepresent anything. No reason to exaggerate anything. There's no reason. Right? There's no reason to not be honest about what I'm talking about. So they put a lot of focus on reactor 5, but it was reactor 6 that I showed you the pictures. We even got the generator in one of these stories. Let me go backwards forward. So aerial footage showed a disaster loomed at Fukushima Reactor 6. But it was the reactor 5 rather, it was reactor 6 that was pixelated out, not reactor 5. I'll get you a better picture of those two. Almost there. Hang on. Find a better picture for you. Hopefully that's a better picture right there. So reactor 5 is not pixelated, nor is the turbine building or in between it or towards the road, right? The reactor 6 is. So I think what they were doing there was a distraction to direct you away from reactor 6 by pointing at.
And that diesel generator is originally for number 6 unit, but the electricity can be used by also unit 5. So
the generator is underground. So there was also, they said, reactor 5 release explained why so much radioactive xenon was detected, which is bizarre because they're trying to cover up reactors 3 and 4 and 6, I would imagine. TEPCO used radioactive water from reactor 5 and 6 to spray throughout the Fukushima plant over 100 tons a day, and that the tanks were close to overflowing there. So number 5 and 6, so that meant they were flooded, which meant generators would have been flooded. Trouble at Fukushima reactor 5 and 6, cracks are allowing in radioactive water that could destroy the emergency generator and other vital equipment. But see, water was already there because they were pumping out 100 tons a day, and they had lots to go. And we have other headlines to quantify.
Although TEPCO has making maximum effort to recover transmission line from Tohoku Electric Company's large high voltage transmission line, the necessity of introducing power is less prioritized compared with other 4 plants. That's all for my report today. I'd like to hand the microphone to Mr. Kato.
Thank you, Mr. Nishiyama. Okay, now today I'd like to report to you 3 things. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing is that
his name is below
we opened the telephone line to answer any concern of local population around the Fukushima nuclear power plants. We assume they may have concern about their health from radiation. So
they may have concern for their health of radiation. They open a telephone line. These people really are just the worst humans conceivable, eh? And then the people that protect them, just like the people that are including the people that are a sense from me right now, are just the worst humans conceivable, eh? There's no redeeming quality to nuclear. Right? They got a job and they're willing to kill everybody to keep their job and protect their image amongst their little circle. Is not a very redeeming quality.
Open the line and expert in that area, in that field, are going to answer.
So why don't you have an expert sitting up there if they got one for the telephone line?
For their concern. And we opened the line in the yesterday afternoon and up to 6 p.m. today. The line responded to more than 450 inquiries.
Serial killer.
And we are going to expand the capacity of that
cover public relations. They're the worst people imaginable.
Telephone line.
I just got to stop it for a second because that really upset me that time when he said that. That really, really irked me, that he said that. Should it be a crime to injure, poison, kill people with man-made radiation, considering that it's currently not illegal to murder you, hurt you, maim you, poison you, destroy you, your community, the species. They have no incentive not to be evil, and so they become just intolerably evil. For the last 80 years, they become more belligerent. Each generation of inbreeds that graduated university and went to work for the industry that their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were raised in, to be these disgusting parasites. It's despicable what they've done to us and all the species. You seen the pictures of the whales at the beginning? Does that not upset you? Does it concern you? Doesn't it frighten you? It should frighten you. I'm not trying to frighten you, but this should frighten you.
And the second thing is the monitoring. As I explained yesterday, we are conducting two kinds of radiation monitoring. The first one is the monitoring around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. That is You're
not doing any monitoring around Fukushima nuclear power plant, for goodness sakes. I'll show you why. It's a real simple concept. And it's just a single one. You have multiple reactors do this. When a single reactor does that, you cannot survive there. That's lethal doses wherever that stuff goes over or close to or in proximity to its lethal doses. Right? And just remember, just before that, to the further end over here, was another explosion of the same thing. This is not an environment where a human, no matter how stupid or brave or stoic they are, can survive.
The result is in the handout, which you may have, this one. And this paper summarizes the result which we receive up to 1 p.m. today. But now we have got additional data this afternoon. And the latest version of this result will be in our website in a few hours. So every day we are supplying this kind of information in our website 4 times a day. And the second kind.
It's sickening. This is disgusting what he just done to everybody. He's denying there's any event, and therefore people go to his website and they'll stay there, and the results of that were catastrophic, right? The people that bought into that lie, let me explain that to you very quick. Is there anything quick when it comes to this? You can't just rush through a story like this, Richard. $865,000 extra cancers in the first year. Extra cancers. Not everybody was going to be diagnosed, right?
Monitoring.
Because of that.
That is the monitoring
monster.
all over the Japan. And we asked every prefecture to survey gamma ray dose rate.
We asked every prefecture to survey the dose rates? Wow. I'll shut up. Hang on. Do it again.
Monitoring. That is the monitoring all over the Japan. And we asked every prefecture to survey gamma ray dose rate.
They're a long way away. They're up by Tokyo.
In a place in every prefecture. And also the result of that survey is up in our website, both in Japanese and English. And although this time I didn't distribute the result of that survey in the hard copy, but you may get it in our website. Yes, gamma ray.
Guma.
And the third point is the additional components for the radiation monitoring all over the Japan. As I said, we asked up to now we asked every prefecture to report us gamma ray rate, but
we asked the prefectures to report to us.
We made additional request to every prefecture today. We asked them to report tap water, radiation analysis of tap water,
radiation analysis of tap water,
and forward.
And foreground?
And the frequency is every day. So every prefecture
do it every day.
Are going to make radiological analysis of tap water sample, and
this is a very difficult thing to do too, right? And so they had the farmers. They gave the farmers Geiger counters and told them to check for the radiation themselves, and if it was below 500 atoms a kilogram, they can sell it. If not, mix it with older farm food, and then you can sell it.
For water sample every day.
Monsters, eh?
And also the result of this survey.
He should be in jail for the rest of his life. He should be getting a death penalty for what he done. This is the ultimate betrayal against your country. You poisoned your entire country. You destroyed your whole country by proxy by doing it. Yeah. It seems to be only hot tea can cut the dry throat. And so it's horrifying what he just, the scam he just put together.
It will be published every day to the mass media and through our website. So I think that's I report to you today. Thank you.
Go F yourself, you disgusting monster.
Good evening. My name is Noriyuki Shikata from Prime Minister's office. I think most of you have not heard.
So I think on day 22, March the 22, this is day 18, March the 18th. On March the 22nd, these press conferences are delivered from the Prime Minister's office, Naito Kan, who died a few days ago, right?
What the Prime Minister mentioned just 20 minutes or so ago at the Prime Minister's office.
20 minutes or so.
And I would like to just give...
He's the public relation officer from the Prime Minister's office of Japan.
Some of the points that he made in front of the press at the Prime Minister's office. It's been a week since the quake hit, and he extended his condolences to those who passed away, and also with their families who are missing. And he showed sincere respect for those people who have suffered from the damage during the last 1 week, and in spite of that, they behaved or responded to the crisis very calmly, and also overcoming this critical situation with their families and unity among people. And he said that we are facing two major problems in Japan. One is the issue of the problems brought about by gigantic quakes and tsunami, and the other one is the major nuclear incidents taking place brought about those quakes and tsunami. As for rescue activities, there are many the difficulties and some confusions on sites, but gradually assistance goods are brought to the local communities, and we have to work on reconstruction of their lives.
So you're talking about the community, there's more help showing up into the communities where people still haven't been rescued. That's what he's talking about. Just give me a minute. These are such difficult shows to do. Because, this is the official cover story you're listening to now. It's very distressing to hear the lies that they're telling for me. And look, I'm only trying to do something good. I'm just trying to find a way to make the world a bit better. And I'm not perfect. I don't know if anybody is. But I understand how difficult it is for people to really appreciate the nuances, these little tiny details. And I have to stop the video every time they're misrepresenting something, which, it's a painful thing to go through over and over and over, because you got to provide the information for your assertion. They don't have to provide the information for theirs. And their lie only works because you provide no information whatsoever. Now, they're more than technologically advanced society. They're the third biggest economy on the planet. So they could have provided you pictures and diagrams and everything else, right, for their assertions. There's no problem in 2011 for them to be able to do that in real time, right? They could coordinate that super easy. And Harvard University, Yale University, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, etc., all done their responses to Fukushima did not provide the documentation for their assertions, right? And so you have no way for the average person down the road to reconstruct it. So what we do basically is forensic investigative journalism. And just because I provide all the documentation, that don't mean that a typical forensic investigative journalism would have. They would have just sat there and read their paper and told you their fact-finding mission. We are here constantly providing the documentation so you can, hopefully, the big dream is that you'll be able to extrapolate on your own without me when you come across this material, because you're aware of what the factual things were happening as they were happening. and taking you through this particular series in 2026 of these press releases, official narrative from the government, and then auditing it to the point where you can't get through the video. Is absurd because the video was a little over an hour long, the original video. The second part after this is over, there's a lot of translations going on. So there's time gets wasted because everything gets converted to Japanese. And then, so you got, say, the New York Times will ask a question. Then there's an interpreter will translate that to Japanese, and then the guy who speaks great English will reply in Japanese, and the interpreter will now interpret that to English and reply in English. So there's a whole lot of weird stuff involved in prepping the video, for instance, because you're not going to make you sit through all of that stuff, right? But then on the other side of it is they're going to tell so many lies that I'm kind of forced, right, not forced, but it's appropriate for me to not let that slide, to not let them get away with that. And hopefully I can avoid the documentation. So I noticed I was doing a conversion today of my shows. And so what I do is the shows, when I shoot them, they're around 100 gigabytes for this show tonight, for instance. If it's 2 hours, it'll be close to 100 gigabyte file. And so I have to crunch that down to something more manageable. And then so each week you're 3/4 of a terabyte of files that you got to crunch down to something, maybe 8 or 9 gigabytes. So I have to do that every week. I have to be doing this. At the same time, I have to have very, very limited resources. Right? We absolutely shouldn't have lasted as long as we have. We should never have made it all the way up into 2026. Right? It was just the will of a few people out there that we were able to keep going as long as we did. We're very fortunate that we lasted the extra couple of years. Right? We should have been out of business a few years back. The industry is so good at destroying your ability to stay in business. And I'm not a very healthy person, right? I'm doing the best I can every day. I'm doing calisthenics every morning. As soon as I wake up, there's no water, no tea, no breakfast. It's calisthenics. It's into a sauna, brutal hour and a half. And then it's in red light therapy and time to get a shower. It's an enormous amount of energy to try to get myself healthy enough to keep going for a while longer. That's what I'm motivated by, right? And I have nothing in my life, right? I'm dedicated to this, but I can't go anywhere. I haven't done nothing in 20 days. I can't. My pension was chopped up, right, 5 or 6 months ago. I should have been homeless on the streets 5 or 6 months ago. And they took away about a quarter of my pension, or I lost about a quarter of my pension just, I don't know how they managed it, but they got rid of my pension. I'm stuck on a small pension. So I have nothing. And then to keep this whole operation moving forward, it's hard to comprehend how bad this is. Like, I don't turn on the heat here until late afternoon, till I can't stand it anymore. So I spend all day in 55-degree temperatures. No matter how warm you dress, you can't stay warm. And then I'm back to eating hot dogs and potatoes again now, right? So one hot dog, not two or nothing. I don't even like hot dogs. I don't even like that stuff. But that's my, and then I'm hated. They turned this whole area against me. It's called Operation Long Jump. You'll find it up on my YouTube channel. And the idea is to destroy me, and they've succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. But I think it took them a lot longer than they were expecting. I don't think they understood my resolve of how stubborn I actually am. We got an extinction event. What I'm doing is not fun. Operation Long Jump. Japan government threatens me over Fukushima. If you watch that video, the guy who's calling in he'll identify himself. He's been doing it for 10 years to me, so I'm a bit belligerent to him. In a funny way, mind you, but in a realistic way, too. And they've succeeded. They brought in this guy known as Thunderfoot. He's a nuclear scientist. His job is to assassinate people with over 1 million subscribers. And so they've spent a lot of effort, time, and energy. And that's what Operation Long Jump is about, is destroying, attacking my reputation. And of course, through Facebook and Instagram and medias like that, they can reach everybody all around me and suggest I'm this or suggest I'm that. But anybody that knows me knows what I'm actually really like, who I, as a person, I really am, and what my fortitude is all about. I've been looking for years and years and years for somebody like me I could support out there that were pushing back and educating the population. Unfortunately, the people we were directed to, like Beyond Nuclear, Ernie Gunnarsson, Helena Caldicott, Christopher Busby, the most popular people you're going to be pushed to if you're new to this topic are the industries themselves, same as Greenpeace, right? They're completely controlled, funded, and at the beck and call. And I can play you the documentations, the videos I have many, 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 many times. And I know I always knew when I became public, my name hasn't been public for very long. It was just after a number of years after Fukushima, I finally became public. But I've been working out there for 24 years. And I've been a YouTuber, but not only as Dana, but I'm out there on other sites as an anti-nuclear activist for as long as I can remember now, for when it comes to the internet ability to post videos and that, right? My heart's and my soul's into this. I work very hard at it every day, and I've been ostracized, and you can tell that when you're looking at how many people are on my show. 9 people, 16 likes, 16 votes. I'm ghosted completely, even though there's probably a lot more people are concerned, hopefully, about this topic. This is 4 days ago, Bride's Wheel. This is a couple of months ago, another Bride's Wheel. I would love to see this in high quality. That's the only quality that was released in the report. We covered this story, and we'll definitely be covering it many more times. This is a blue whale, it's a humpback whale, it's a great whale. These are not things we've seen pre-Fukushima. The emaciation is so bad. I got stories on a polar bear today. It's so emaciated. It's just almost make you throw up because it's high quality. I wouldn't want it, but I wish I could have a high quality picture of that whale there, because that one really lit a fire underneath me. I was built to do what I'm doing. I was created just for this job, as far as I can tell. My experience before I got injured was perfectly in line with this. The injury allowed me to understand nuclear. And these research expedition pictures you're looking at here gave me the evidence. They convinced me that I have to dedicate my life to fighting this industry. I've done the research expeditions. I'm out there for 4 to 5 months at a time. And I was still in a wheelchair when I started. I still refused. And I was hated. And I was even ostracized. I was even attacked. People used to say in the comments sections, "You're not going to believe him. He's in a wheelchair, for goodness sakes. He's a nobody." That's how they treated me. It took me 10 years just to learn to stand up on my own again. I still didn't know how to give up. I don't know how to give up. Cesium remains dispersed throughout the water column from the surface to the ocean floor. When you look at the pictures to your left, like the plot of a summer horror flick all along Canada's Pacific coast, mussels are dying, bodies are swollen by cancerous tumors. Cancerous tumors spreading from one species to another like a virus. Cancer doesn't do that. And why did that story disappear? Why did we never ever hear any more narratives about that? In 2016, you had over 700 whales show up emaciated of just the humpbacks, not counting the other species. The species to your left are exterminated. I know, I went there. I used to dive that whole coastline. I would be a multi-millionaire many times over if I didn't get destroyed as a commercial diver. And the irony of it was I was diving at the time I got injured. At the time I got injured, I was doing food harvesting 6 hours a day. I was picking 20,000 of those a day. Right, and I have aluminum rack would go on my arm. I was running fleets of boats. I was painfully aware that the industry wouldn't last forever either, right? So I was out there 300 days a year. That particular trip I got injured on, I was out there for 127 days straight, which is probably what destroyed me. I got the decompression injury right by Alaska in the middle of nowhere in March. March 11th was the day I got taken out, by the way. March 11th was the day that ended my career as a commercial diver. It was 10 years before I learned to walk again. After that, I slowly deteriorated, but then I decided to fight back. The species to your left are exterminated. They're exterminated. Species to your left are exterminated. We're right behind them. The species, the whales, as you can see, are already behind them. Are ahead of me and you, but it's happening to all your friends and your families, your loved ones. The starfish to your left, it's hard to comprehend how many times I've seen that with my own two eyes working. Every day I would have to come ashore and put up a beach line on the back of the vessel, my dive vessel. So you would come in and you would wait till high tide before you put a beach line up, because you couldn't walk up on the beaches because you would break your neck trying to get up there. It was very dangerous to try to climb your way up through that, because it would look like that, not like this. And so, Fukushima really did happen, right? The radioactive fallout is real. I've done the best I could. That's all I've ever done. That's all I ever do, right? I'm doing the best I could. But if I had the support, and you need an absurd amount of support to make this work, even on a small scale, because, it always pains me when I see Zoe. One way I'm always happy to see her, but that's my normal sight. She'll dive off the boat, run up and take a poop, or try to a little pee or something. Every starfish we came across was severely emaciated, full of cancer tumors. She was really something, man. 15 years, never left my side. She was really special. I got her out of a shelter. They were going to put her down that day. She was too crazy for anybody. She was a puppy and she was nuts. She was abused, apparently. That's a pretty look. Would you take your kids to the beach to see that starfish? Or that one? It's very unusual to find anything. And if you do, it's very bizarre that we get to this stage of decomposition because birds and predators at low tide, the crabs, all kinds of species would normally devour it. The fact that it existed, decomposition at that stage, meant that there was nothing there to feed off it. And these were very tiny crabs. You never ever seen them alive. That's what you seen was a dead one or a molted shell or something like that. But look at all the mutated starfish. There was only a couple of species left on the coastline, and they were completely full of tumors. And then there's 84 species of sea anemones. And this particular color is that species. This is a giant plume sea anemone. Normally come in multiple colors, different vibrant colors, right? That was generally the only color you would find, which was really bizarre. And then you can see that's the same species up there. They're all deformed too. If we didn't do these research expeditions, right? If we didn't go out there and get boots on the ground, if I didn't do that, month after month after month, year after year after year, in desperation to quantify was there actual harm, we would never know that, right? It should look like this, and it should look like that, and like this, not like this, right? It should be just massive starfish, and none of them should look like this. And both of those starfish are the same species. Right? It should be a very vibrant, beautiful colors, symmetrics to their legs and everything else, not this deformities. And very unusual to find the barnacles or the mussels. And this was just little tiny patches of blue mussels. And that's actually giant barnacles, even though they're not giant. If the general only barnacles you found were very tiny, would crush right away. Normally they would cut your gloves open or your boots open, right? Not these guys. They're very small and very fragile. And it looks cool, looks like fun, but it's a nightmare. You're out there, you got to survive every day. And you're out there for months out of months, and I've been abandoned so many times. I can't begin to describe how often we were laid up somewhere, we couldn't get fuel, couldn't get food, couldn't travel, couldn't do anything, and then you always had to make it work no matter what. All of these species, though, emaciated, all these different species of whales emaciated. If that doesn't haunt you, what does? If that doesn't, in my world anyway, if that's not motivational, what is, I wonder, right? To me, that's the motivation. That's like those pictures. These pictures are not something I can escape ever. They're not something I can change. But I can try, hopefully, and make the world a better place. That's the crazy dream. And I don't know how to give up. I should have gave up a long time ago. It's such a difficult road. You can tell by the censorship, tonight, the enormous, just unrealistic censorship. Especially somebody who's prolific as I am with material, not because I want to, but because people exist.
He is convinced that we would overcome these challenges and realize Japan's reconstruction. At the same time, these nuclear incidents are something that we cannot forget about, and in order to overcome the crisis, TEPCO, self-defense forces, police, and firefighters. They are risking their lives virtually. And
you're in an unbelievable nuclear wasteland. And he's a public relations, so his idea is to distract you everywhere. Yes, I mean, this stuff is important, right? It's true. But he's using it in a context for a bad reason. He wants you to think about them. And none of these people that are being sacrificed are scientists or academics or government employees. These are the homeless and destitute and victims of society, immigrants who don't speak the language. The firefighters were there symbolically so they can get pictures and then the world could breathe a sigh of relief. It wasn't there to actually change an equation, right? You would have to send in the people that built the reactors, and you couldn't drag them there. They would tear your eyes, or they would claw your eyes out right on the spot.
He himself will make his utmost efforts in order to overcome these challenges, and he is convinced that with the cooperation of the public, will be able to overcome this crisis. And he also extended his heartfelt appreciation for...
His appreciation, you can't overcome a nuclear meltdown. I don't think that was appropriate because you only got 1 hour. You got 1 hour with the press club for the International Press Club. They're going to repeat that narrative right there instead of... And I mean, they got access, the media had access 3 days before that to this documentation. Everybody on the planet did. Every nuclear expert on the planet knew the reactors were gone the minute that they seen that. Certainly the minute you seen that. They were available before we seen this.
The offer of assistance from 117 countries and regions and 29 international organizations. And this is the worst crisis since the end of the World War. And given in light of the...
This is the worst crisis since the World War. It didn't say... It didn't elaborate. Since Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Before Nagasaki, Hiroshima.
The fact that the global community is so kindly offering assistance.
They were stupid. They should never have done it. Japan didn't take it anyway, but...
we cannot give up. And
that's my sentiment exactly. We cannot give up.
Why don't we try to make progress with firm determination?
Piece of shit.
And he again extended his condolences and also asking people who are evacuated to cope with this difficult situation. And
the government's never going to... There's two sides to the story. One is, the worst thing you're going to hear is, hi, we're from the government, we're here to help you. That's the end of your future. And then the second side is they have a nuclear accident. That takes precedence. No, the nuclear industry will not hesitate to sacrifice a country or a planet to protect their image. That's what we're looking at.
That the global community is so kindly offering assistance, we cannot give up. And why don't we try to make progress with firm determination? And he again extended his... the government is preparing for... I
was on the wrong clip.
Not only food and blankets, but also creating environment for more comfortable life. And please take care of yourselves and please hang on. And this is the crisis facing us. And as the Japanese, we are faced with the challenges. This is something that we could overcome, and we together we would realize recreation of Japan. And we would like to take the next steps toward reconstruction. So this.
The reactors are in full-blown meltdown, and he's talking about reconstruction. Like the whole press conference was a public relation coup, but it didn't work without the cooperation of the medias and the universities worldwide refusing to call him out. Right? That's the only reason it worked, is because the silence from every journalist. Well, there was some journalists speaking out. Don't get me wrong. And you actually see
the kind of message that he was sending. Thank you.
Just for your information, the third speaker is Mr. Noriyuki Shikata, Deputy Cabinet Secretary for Public Relations.
Yeah, he didn't.
Now,
he's too far away from the microphone. Just give me a second. That was the first question from the audience, so to speak, right on cue. He didn't say we're not taking any more questions or that's the end of it. The media just now took the cue card, said, okay, now we're supposed to, once he finished speaking, we're supposed to step in and ask useless questions. So the volume might get a bit weird for this first one.
Shall we go into the Q&A session? And we will receive questions only from...
Now, he didn't get close enough to the microphone, so it's going to be breaking up because I think they have a filter on that particular microphone where it turns off automatically.
The foreign press. Would you please raise your hand, and when recognized, please wait till you get this microphone and give us your name and affiliation, and tell us who you want to ask before you ask. Just one question each time, all right?
That woman there in the middle, man, she scares me. She's frightening, eh? She's going to do all the translating, so she's I like to know the difference. I like to know if I'm wrong, but as far as I can tell, she's heavily involved in the nuclear industry, probably with the regulatory agency. And so there's a lot of translation.
Yes, Mr. Nishiyama, thank you once again for coming.
There's a lot of translations back and forth, so I'm chopping that stuff out, and then I haven't got the whole video prepped because there's no way you're going to get through half of a video because there's so many laws, and the idea is to have a challenge out there.
When firefighters battle a fire, they often refer to it as being under control or out of control, and they refer to making progress towards bringing it under control or report that it is spreading out of control. Following that analogy, what is the situation at Fukushima? Is it out of control? Are you making progress towards bringing it under control?
You got two people on my show. Bless your hearts, wherever you are. Hello, everybody. Bless you, too. So there's nobody on my show. I suppose. I knew that day was always coming, TEPCO. It's probably only TEPCO and somebody else watching my videos. The hatred they have for me is really special. I know I'm hated too, right? I don't got no illusions about that. I know I'm just scorned and feared. Feared, scorned, and hated. There's nothing I can do about it. They got all the cards in their deck, right? We don't have any foundations supporting us. We can't push back. We can't fight back. We can't do campaign ads. We can't hire lawyers and litigate. Right, our tormentors, right, our evil tormentors. They're not detractors. They're not trying to have a debate or a conversation. They're tormentors. Their job is to ostracize you, manipulate you, deceive you, denigrate you. And they got all the cards are stacked. You know, I just don't know. I just don't know how to quit. I'll only quit because I won't have any power or I'll lose the internet. I'll be down for a while, but hopefully eventually I'll claw my way back. I've been here lots. I've been in this position so many times. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is just continue to do the best I can with what I got. And that's the way forward, right? Never surrender. Never forget what the nuclear industry has done to you. That's the motivation. Okay.
The current situation
he answered.
We have, particularly
It's
in
hard to understand what
relation
you were saying.
to the water spraying operation, water spraying operation, can be characterized as a fight against a fire that we cannot see.
Yeah, you're real heroic and stoic. That's what you folks are. Fight against a fire you cannot see. That the public can't see how evil you are doesn't mean you're not evil. Cannot fight against a fire you cannot see. You can't. Well, first off, you lost most of your inventories by day 6. This is day 8. Just got to bring up some of those pictures from TEPCO that they originally released. There we go. I kind of know. There's 1,900 pictures in this folder. I'm pretty good at knowing where to go to get pictures. That actually said. I screwed up here. Let me go backwards. I usually know where to go. That doesn't mean I does, or do, or did, or could, or would. Here we go. It was about show and tell, right? There, we have the emails, the original emails, and there was only one truck. They had, I think it was 5 trucks on the site. Only one survived the tsunami, but you got to realize there was debris everywhere. This is on the seaside of the turbine building, which is between the ocean and the reactors. It's a very long, couple of long buildings that are, they're spraying the water. These are firefighters. They're wearing paper suits, and they're told that's going to protect them when it's absurd to even suggest it could. Or there's a lot of fuel fell down in that area on top of that. This is an irrelevant amount of water. It's the proverbial pissing on a forest fire. It's no different. And as these people were sacrificed, these people would have most likely died shortly after.
And currently, the fire is not spreading. It is not becoming worse. It is not aggravating. But whether we can say it has been brought under control, we would have to wait and see the outcome of the water spraying operations.
They've got to wait and see the outcome of the water spraying operation. Well, when the sun came up the next day, this is some of the stuff they were looking at. That's reactor 3, for instance. The next year, they had gutted some of that debris, and it looked more like this. So this is supposed to be 190 feet, 19 stories. Does that have anything to do with a 19-story building? if that was your building and you had a 19-story, 65-meter, 190-foot building, would you say that's now the fuel pools and the reactor cores at the top of the buildings? So when you look at this a year later, reactor 3, does that look like a 19-story building? Do you see the remnants of 7,000 people working here? Would it be appropriate to describe these people at the press conference on that day as monsters? Would that be appropriate?
And currently, the fire is not spreading. It is not becoming worse. It is not aggravating. But whether we can say it has been brought under control, we would have to wait and see the outcome of the water spraying operations.
Well, it's true the fire wasn't getting worse because it was already burnt out and gone. The fire didn't just burn forever like the materials of the building, but the reactor cores and the fuel that were ejected out of are splitting atoms into your environment. It's a misrepresentation of...
Thank you. It's also a question for Mr. Nishiyama. Hidehiko from CNN.
From CNN.
The INES number, the levels raised from 4 to 5. You explained what...
I'm going to justify maybe
the information you also provided later. It seems like things are becoming better.
You hear that stuttering from the microphone? That's because he's too far away from it, and the microphone cuts out when there's no background noise. I can do the same thing with this one, but it's not... doesn't always sound good. Now, I adjusted my volume this evening. When I was doing that crazy routine where I have to convert all of my videos, and I only have one system that I use for working too, right? I listened to it after, and I was listening to a couple of videos. I'm like, gee, the audio is really definitely... That didn't happen because of the conversion, because I've been doing the system for a long time. So hopefully I fixed the system.
Water being sprayed into number 3 and water found in number 4. And
3 and 4.
Based on...
It's hard to hear what they're saying, but the rest of the questions, they got closer to the microphone. So he's talking about water at reactor 3, water at reactor 4. I'm not sure if he's talking about the fuel pools, but this guy knows nothing. He's not a nuclear expert. He's got a piece of paper, and he knows what the question is. This is all prearranged. And then after that person, he's supposed to read paragraph 1, 2, 10, 12, whatever it was.
These positive developments, why would you raise the level from 4 to 5? Because that is a more serious level, and some people...
Why would you raise the level from 4 to 5? Because it is a significant jump.
I think that's the equivalent of the 3 Mile Island incident in the United States. So could you explain a little why are you raising the level despite these progress? And also, if since you have raised the level, how much more concerned should people become? Does that affect the evacuation zone? Separately, I have a separate question about, we have read reports about NISA considering encasing the reactors in sand and concrete.
Encasing the reactors in concrete. Now, we have a lot of those headlines from the original first couple of weeks. We've covered this quite a bit.
Is that a plan you are considering, or is it a plan you are preparing for?
Are you thinking about it?
Thank you.
CNN, I do believe. Now, she's going to translate that to English to him. That's a lot. He's going to reply in Japanese. Originally was a lot. She's going to translate that then to English that we will talk about. Here's that part now.
In response to your first point about what led us to raise the level from 4 to 5, the first...
what caused them to raise the level from 4 to 5?
It is based on past phenomena that had already occurred, but we are now reporting because we can now observe that phenomena which had already occurred has stabilized at that level. For instance,
so they're expecting it to stay at level 5.
What had been occurring since the 15th of March for Unit 1, and what had been occurring starting from the 17th of March for Units 2 and 3. And those phenomena we can see has stabilized. And that is why we have reported on it.
2番目のポイントについては、今のような進。
All right. So clearly nothing is stabilized. Clearly these are just terrible people.
And currently,
terrible traitors of humanity, the worst humans imaginable. What they've done to us, they're doing it for the nuclear industry. They're doing it to protect the investments they have in stocks for the nuclear industry. They'll do it again if given the opportunity. If they have to, if there's another accident, they'll do the exact same thing. Except now they're going to be even more ruthless. Right? They're going to be I'm happy anyway. We made it this far tonight, right? I'm just organizing everything so that the next time we cover this. Now tomorrow night's show, if it does a show tomorrow night, it's not 100% sure. I most likely will. I got a big die-off. It's getting bigger now every day. I'm up 500 plus clicks. I got to click, 500 sentences or paragraphs basically and pictures of the current die-off that's ongoing. And some other stuff I dug up from the last couple of years, and from when there's a lot of stories out there that I didn't cover back when they were happening because we were on the ocean doing research expeditions, right? And so I'm always coming across that stuff too, and that gets included in our die-off because and you'll find a playlist. It doesn't have all my stuff there, but I got a playlist with over 50 die-off videos in my playlist. You see, I'll just bring it up right quick for you maybe. Go up to playlist, top of my page. And scroll down, you see mass species die off of whales, birds, insects caused by Fukushima. But we quantify that assertion in these videos. And certain videos, I'll quantify that assertion for a whole hour before the video, we get into the die-off stuffs, right? And so anything that's 3 hours long, for instance, and 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours 30, 50, 3 hours, I'm going to put a lot of stuff in there to help articulate why we're conflating radioactive fallout with the species die-off worldwide. Should it be a crime to injure, poison, kill people? So nuclear couldn't exist if it was illegal to kill, injure, or poison you. And an injury from nuclear is like a cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, diabetes, Down syndrome, schizophrenia, heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary, thyroid, adrenaline glands, catastrophic health consequences, right? The headphone in my head all night. So how many laws do we challenge tonight? Hang on, let me count them for you. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. See, around 40 lies we challenged from their press conference. We didn't challenge every lie. We challenged the majority of their blatant lies. I think that's a pretty good, that's a win, isn't it? That's a pretty damn good, pretty good goal for Wednesday night. And I'm going to play we're going to play a song for a closer. I'm going to play Nuclear Exceptionalism. And you'll find that at the same site as I linked to in the comments section before. If you're watching this in the first 12 hours or so, the comment section doesn't normally show up for 12 hours. I got nothing to do with it. That's the industry does that to us. This is a really cool anti-nuclear song. Always makes me feel a little bit energized. And that's a good way to end the show sometimes. Hugs for everybody. Have a great night. A great day tomorrow. We'll see everybody on the next one. You take care.
They said it was clean, too cheap to meter. Built the dome, then cooked the beaker. Said the rod was safe as sealed in drums, but left them leaking out of Idaho slums. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear's not dumb. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear is fun. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear has won. Hallelujah, nuclear exceptionalism is done. They chase the sun, all fusion proud. Ignore the barrels stacked in clouds. Promise stars in every socket, while curium settled in the market. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear's not dumb. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear is fun. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear has won. Hallelujah, nuclear exceptionalism is done. Chart is clean, while whales rolled up beside the submarine. Blame the algae, blame the rain, but never trace the gamma chain. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear's not dumb. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear is fun. Hallelujah, being anti-nuclear has won. Hallelujah, nuclear exceptionalism is done. Now the rods are rusting, the record spins. Mama warned them, too many sins. Keep your son, keep your lab coat pride, till you fix the waste you tried to